Welcome to Streetlights Podcast, a podcast focused on arts and cultures through the eyes of Black viewers and Black creatives.
With your hosts, Janelle Ismay and
Jalen McDuffie.
Let's get straight to it.
Whether becoming the mate of a werewolf or the wife of a gangster, every girl has read a Wattpad book in her life. Janelle's not responding because she's laughing.
The Wolf was crazy.
Am I not wrong?
I was done at The Wolf.
Am I wrong, though?
You're not wrong, but I was done at The Wolf. I just want you to know that.
We needed something to break the ice. So I was like, let's just go ahead and get to this.
Okay, so if you haven't picked up already, this episode we are talking about Wattpad and fanfiction and Black girls in fanfiction and Black girls in Wattpad. Because if you were a middle school girl and Black from about maybe 2012 to 2017, I know you read a Wattpad book.
You did.
Don't play with me. I know you read one. At least one.
And it was connected to your Pinterest board.
Yeah.
With all the curly-headed light skins and the matching Jordans.
Princeton from Mindless Behavior. Don't tell me you didn't read one. Don't tell me you didn't read one.
Today we are exposing y'all. We really are exposing y'all because we really have to talk about how powerful Wattpad was in shaping teen girl and just teen culture in general. Mm-hmm. And not only touching on our private lives that we read in our bedrooms or on our school buses or in the cafeterias, but literally touching the faces of Netflix screens, making multi-billion-dollar book deals, and now literally taking over basically the entertainment world. Wattpad has changed a lot since you was reading on the bus, so we're gonna talk about it.
All right. Period. Okay, so I didn't know this until I looked it up, but Wattpad was launched in 2006.
I could believe that.
That makes sense.
That does make sense. Because that was the height of the Tumblr grunge.
That was probably the time where heavy fan fiction was really just starting. Because 2006, that's Harry Potter, Percy Jackson.
Also the beginning of the internet, really. It was the beginning of people starting to flock into the internet and finding those little niche genres. I'm gonna spit some mass media class information that you got. I love my mass media class.
Big J school.
It was too much. Big J school. The creation of the internet did an amazing thing because it was able to create small niche communities out of shared interest for people that were all over the world. So these niche ideas didn't just have you and your best friend locked in your basement playing video games. It was now somebody who's living in Austria, somebody living in Uganda, anybody with literally an interest in video games and a computer. And so that really just changed the face of the world and how we build communities. And Wattpad was definitely one of those platforms that changed that genre.
Right. Started a lot of people on their writing journey, which was good. You could be writing in high school, writing for academics wise, and be like, okay, well, I mean, I like writing, but this is not necessarily what I want to write about. Yeah. But on Wattpad, you could write about anything you want. You could be delusional on Wattpad.
It's crazy that you said that because I was spacing out thinking about the books I used to read, and I was like, do I really want to tell people on this public platform
that's why I paused like that.
Subjects that I was reading? Will this come back to bite me? And say I was trying to get inducted into the Senate. What did they bring up? So what type of Wattpad books were you reading? And how would that legislation affect our children?
No.
Nah, you really had to come up and dig up my past in front of the nation like that?
Because I'm not gonna lie, I know Chris Brown is kind of a hot topic right now, but the Chris Brown fan fictions on Wattpad were crazy. I still believe some of the stuff in that books are true. He has to be that crazy. He has to be.
I never thought of people writing books about real people because mine were always imaginary people. And so
this is how big Wattpad is. We have two completely
Harry Styles. I'm over here saying Harry Styles' Wattpad book had been turned into literally everyone's famous romance series. The After series on Netflix
is about Harry Styles. Imagine being the actors and actor and it's about this man and you meet him at an award show.
Even
oh, nice to meet you. No, I would be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed.
I'd be like, you have a temper.
That's kind of detrimental.
I don't know how detrimental, because you can't say it's detrimental, especially for One Direction, because the standing of like One Direction characters being together, that was literally founded and bred and given life support by Wattpad almost single-handedly, actually did have like lasting effects on the members and their relationships with each other, because it's really hard for you to have a platonic relationship with somebody and literally a whole section of the world thinks that you guys are sleeping together, and you guys are like 16, you're not even adult, and that's a very weird feeling.
Because on one hand, the readers, they're being able to indulge into this fantasy about whatever celebrity that they have an interest and take a liking to, but it fuels and enables the parasocial relationship.
Yeah, and it definitely I was gonna say parasocial relationship. You know, that episode in Euphoria. Now, everyone should know Euphoria. If not, we definitely should talk about Euphoria. But this amazing award-winning show, one of the characters, Kat, actually was a Wattpad fanfiction writer, and she wrote, like, I think she was like a multi-million viewer read book about
Larry fanfiction.
Larry, which is Liam and Harry.
Yeah.
So from One Direction.
Which I don't know.
So if that doesn't say anything in the mass media, you got to see how Wattpad and fanfiction does have like a really big grip. I checked my Wattpad account, and I don't really have much on there, but I think around that time I switched to fanfiction.net. Okay. I was reading fanfiction because I was mostly heavy on like fanfiction, like Harry Potter, like type stuff. Plus, with that, it's a lot easier to read them because you just click and then it gives you the next page instead of having to scroll and look at all the pictures and the people's comments. We need to talk about people's comments. Okay, go back. Let's go back to subject.
I'm not gonna lie. On Wattpad, my comments used to go up. Like, people thought I was the funniest person ever. Like,
I want to read your books. Would you let me read your books?
Oh, I never wrote a Wattpad book.
Oh,
I always thought about it, but I never.
Your comments on other people's stories.
No, I used to comment on stories.
I never did,
because a lot of the Wattpad books I used to read were like, okay, they were like made up stories, but the characters, they would use like celebrities as the characters. Oh, they weren't the celebrity, but they were the character. Yeah, as if they were casting them in a movie.
No, I've seen that because I've seen like characters like my best friend Nicki Minaj, and I'm like, huh? like I'm dating Chris Brown and my bestie's Rihanna, and I'm like, huh? Y'all are weird.
I woke up and I scrunched my to a curly hair, and then I put on
my glasses.
I put on my glasses and my leggings and my long
flannel t-shirt
and my flannel and
my fingers barely hanging out over the sleeves of my long sweater, which I clutch.
I don't know, but it's also like
I look up at him in anticipation because I'm only 5'1". Like, girl,
I have to give kudos though to the girls that was out here like really writing on Wattpad, and some of that stuff is good. Like, I'm not gonna lie,
I feel like
I can understand why some people got published from Wattpad.
Yeah, because Wattpad gave anybody the title of author. It was literally anybody can go in there and literally make a book. You had every single resource laid out for you, and that's why these girls who were like 12, 13 were writing multi-million viewer books,
millions of
because they were exercising these ideas and this creativity that we weren't exercising in classes, and that most of the time, even if we told our parents we want to write a book, they wouldn't listen to us anyway. Wattpad gave us the opportunity to express that creativity, and especially on things that we were told that's inappropriate, or you shouldn't be thinking about that, or you shouldn't be talking about that, especially when it comes to things that are not safe for work, which is basically what we're going to call it in this episode. Because like all human beings, teenage girls have hormones, and so that allowed them to let all those crazy teen hormones run wild, not even in like a not safe for work way, but just in general, just in confidence and just in intelligence and creativity. It was really cool. So, especially being a teen girl, like, oh my gosh, being a teen girl at that time was like the apex of creativity and just
it really
community.
And
it was.
Have you heard the theory about whatever the mass population of teen girls are into at the moment, that's what the general population is looking down on? So like when One Direction was the thing for teen girls, everybody was like, ew, One Direction, like why would you like them? Like
I was like that. I'm sorry, I was a hater, but the thing is, I just did not like boy bands. I didn't find the obsession with boy bands.
Yeah, like I notice it now. After I heard about the theory, I notice it all the time.
Yeah,
so it's like even something like Euphoria, like that's what teen girls are interested in.
And then it was all about drug use and inappropriate stuff.
Like, so not necessarily hating on it, but people don't take it serious because that's what teen girls are into. So like Justin Bieber, when Justin Bieber was the main thing like teen girls were into, people are not taking
everyone
it serious.
hated Justin Bieber.
Right.
The thing is, but the teen girls have literally always been...
They're tastemakers.
Yeah,
in culture.
We are tastemakers. But at the same time, people have always like downplayed. Even in the Salem witch trials, like they literally use the Salem witch trials to kill teen girls for literally just existing at that point. And that's often like, even when I thought about how when like Bacon... like just the idea of bacon became really popular, like mustaches and hipster glasses. People were like, oh, hipsters are like, they're like the end of the world. And looking back at it now, we were into that kind of stuff. We were into hipsters and like creativity and like bagels and drinks, like special coffees and Starbucks secret menus and stuff like that. Was what we were into. And hipsters were just the older people with money who were into that stuff. And then they became like, ew, hipsters, we hate hipsters. And it was just like, I completely agree with you on that.
In 2013, 2014, the old people called everybody hipster. Everybody's a hipster. We are not hipsters.
And it's, you know what, even that running joke about how older people or like older men in your family will make fun of having ripped jeans. Ripped jeans were popularized by young teen girls. Yeah. Like quite literally. And people have been made fun of ripped jeans for like the longest. And that always drove me
honestly
crazy.
My dad will still be like, why do you have a hole in your pants? This is fashion.
None of my family ever really did that. I think once I wore like a spaghetti strap top to Christmas and my dad gave me one of those giant white t-shirts to wear.
No.
Yeah.
Nacho was giving T.I.
And I was wearing like these really big oversized jean pants with like really, really wide leg. And I was like, I looked like a hooligan. I was just like, why did you do this to me?
He did you dirty.
Yeah, he did me dirty. And I'm over here like, who are you trying to protect me from? Do we have to have a deeper conversation right now? Like, this is ridiculous. But anyway.
So speaking to the like old versus young thing, so I read in one of the articles I looked up, 90% of users on Wattpad are Gen Z and millennials.
Okay.
And that makes sense because we're the main ones that are on the internet. And especially...
And it was marketed to us very heavy,
right,
too.
It was.
I think I mentioned this earlier, but the way I got into Wattpad is because I was on Pinterest. And a lot of people, if you don't know about Wattpad, you definitely know about Pinterest.
Right.
Because it's literally a site that has arts, crafts, fan art, literally anything you could think of. And especially being a part of a lot of fandoms like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, and like some Twilight stuff and, you know, stuff like that. These fan art drawings were connected to Wattpad. Wattpad was revolutionary in its basically to be able to write these books different than like fanfiction.net archive of our own, because you were allowed to post pictures. So you were allowed to make like outfits for your characters to set scenes. You were allowed to use pictures of people on Pinterest, like this is what my character looks like. It gave us this ability to actually visualize the story exactly how the author wanted you to see it. When we were like getting these Harry Potter movies that were like we were waiting months and months and years for, where these characters were literally giving us fully thought out visuals right on our phone. And that was really captivated me, because I was like, this ability is really, really cool to be able to kind of build your own movie and your own comic. So yeah,
I think that's the appeal of fan fiction.
Definitely.
Like generally in fan fiction, you can take this already existing world that you love and create your own story and create your own world within it
and choose everything you really want and not really be hated for it either. The more detail was better for us. Like we wanted to build those worlds with you.
Right. Have you ever heard of like Disney fan fiction?
As an extreme Disney fan, the fact that I haven't makes me feel like I'm doing something right.
I
that sounds
to read. No, okay, it's not like
I'm not even gonna get mad at you, because when I tell you what I used to read, then the whole series gonna go silent.
I used to read this series. It was like the Disney characters, but they all like went to the same high school.
Oh, yes, I did read that.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because I used to be into, you know, like when Todrick Hall was like really popular on
I was
YouTube,
into that too.
And they were making like those little Disney character high school YouTube videos. That's exactly
like,
what I was thinking about.
It was something about take the Disney characters
and making them high schoolers.
Right.
And making like the pop stars. Have you ever watched Pop Star High? It's a series by Todrick Hall.
Wait.
And it had its own original music, and it was so It was so
I did
good.
watch that.
I'm sorry. I know good. People don't like Todrick Hall, but I will forever be a stan.
But she can have that. I don't know about stan.
I loved him as a child.
I heard about Big Brother.
I did not.
Celebrity. I heard about it.
I did not.
So it's getting a little spooky.
We're going to have to talk about this off. And in the next episode, if I retract my statement, we'll see what happens.
But no, like,
because I have no idea what it was about.
That's the appeal of fan fiction. All of these ideas that you may have already thought of in your head, and somebody's writing them out.
Oh my God, there's Outer Banks fan fiction on here.
Period.
Continue.
All of the, you know how much Stranger Things fan fiction is probably on there.
I just saw it. This is what I'm reading.
It's like things that you want to happen in the show that they're never gonna write.
Eddie Munson.
Somebody's going to write it for you in 30 chapters.
That was so interesting.
And I'm gonna read it in one night.
This might be the resurgence of my Wattpad, because I'm about to read this so fast.
Please.
I'm trying to find like a typical YN to read for you guys so you can hear what we're talking about.
We definitely have to talk about YN. I'm going to talk about my personal experience with YN. I can't. If you used to read YN, you're a strong soldier, because it's just so awkward. Putting my name into the story, I'm sorry, I can't. I think it's because when I'm reading, I like to watch it like a movie. I know some people don't have this, but when I'm reading, I watch it in my head. Like everything that's happening, I can see it in my head. So I like to watch it like a movie. I don't want to be in the movie. Like, come on now.
This one was updated in 2023. So,
oh gosh.
Okay, so we're gonna give you a little reading of a typical YN fan fiction.
Whose name are we putting in it?
We're just gonna say your name. Okay. So if you guys don't know what YN actually means, YN stands for is Y/N. It's how it's written in the books, but it's actually your name. So it's basically you're supposed to input yourself into the story as you're reading it, but sometimes it can become very hard, especially for young Black girls reading these stories, when you have to put your blonde hair up in a messy bun and fix the glasses over your blue eyes, and you're sitting there with your afro puff and your brown eyes with bags underneath it. Like, why am I reading the story at 2 a.m.? I'm not in this.
Let's be real. Me and Zayn Malik from One Direction are not on a coffee date. Like, let's be real. Come on, guys.
I just started getting pimples, guys. Like, let's be for real. Like, I was not there.
I'd rather read about it with some random white girl in the book.
Yeah.
I'd rather
Sometimes it's just easier that way.
Easier.
Sometimes it was easier to just be like, okay, she has blonde hair and blue eyes. This is not me. You know? It was easier to detach. But after I read this, I definitely want to talk about how Black girls were creating Your Name books and how they were creating their own genres in Wattpad, and it was like a completely different community from white Wattpad writers. But I also definitely want to talk about how Wattpad gave a really good safe space to the gay community, especially when being gay was definitely not as popular as it is right now. Yeah, you know. But let me read this. We're gonna put in like really nice story music. Hold on. It's cringiest, most stereotypical story on Wattpad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm giving you guys like the very typical like apex of YN. Let me move my mic so you guys can hear me better. I'm gonna read it like, you know, how you should read it. Bring. I groaned as I turned off my annoying alarm clock. It's just another normal, horrible day. I sat up as my abusive stepmother hit me. And for some reason, I don't have a dad. Wake up, Abigail Jones, she yelled. I sighed and started to put my hair in a messy bun. I stared into the mirror and sighed. I am so ugly. How could anyone ever love me? I thought to myself as I looked into the mirror. I saw my perfectly curved hourglass figure, ocean blue orbs, wavy, shiny blonde hair, and flawless creamy skin. I'm trying to get through a chapter. I went downstairs and saw my stepmother stumbling around, smoking weed, cooking meth.
Cooking meth? Crazy.
But how is she doing this all simultaneously?
No.
Get out of my house, you good-for-nothing brat, she screamed as she drank her 57th bottle of tequila.
No.
She threw the bottle at my head and I burst into tears. I'm trying to get to the part where he sells her. Okay, hold on. Okay. I started walking to school, As I walked, I saw a pretty brunette girl with teal eyes, and I immediately knew it was Vanessa, one of the popular girls. I immediately assumed she was a mean fake wannabe just because she was a cheerleader. Yeah, we really had something against cheerleaders in Wattpad for some reason.
The cheerleaders are cool.
Yeah. For some reason, like, we were all like, no one likes us. Like, I'm so alone and nerdy. Like, that was just like...
I'm such an outcast.
I'm such an outcast.
No, that...
Only the wolf pack will accept me now.
That was like every story. Like, no matter who was writing it, the black Wattpad, white Wattpad, everybody was an outcast.
Everybody was either hated by everybody or you didn't talk to anybody and your mom sold you to some band.
I'm so invisible.
Like... Very much. But I feel like those type of character building really was like an insight to how a lot of us were feeling as if we were invisible, especially when we start talking about white Wattpad versus black Wattpad. We could definitely talk about how like different situations that these girls were in really showed up in what they wrote and how they built their world. I, Abigail, Louisiana, Melonius, Stanley, Rose, Violet, Blossom, Autumn, Jones just spilled coffee all over the most popular hot guy at school. He was the hottest guy in my grade, over 6 feet tall. His name was Cole Black. He was the boy that everyone liked, the F-boy. I trembled as I looked up at him, waiting for his reaction. Sorry, I started reading and I didn't know I was still reading, if we're being honest.
You know what was synonymous between both black and white Wattpad? The concept of the bad boy.
The concept of the F-boy too.
Yeah, the bad boy, the F-boy.
Yes.
The boy everybody is scared of. The boy everybody tells you don't be around him, don't mess with him.
But he's like only soft for you. Like, he only cares about you.
This had to be detrimental to at least a large amount of people's development.
It definitely filled into like the guy that was bullying you. You like, yeah, this is gonna turn into an enemies to lovers. Yes, no, baby, he's racist. Run away. Run away. Any child listening to this, heed our warnings, please. And it was I'm trying to find a YN that's black so you guys can hear the difference.
When I was on Wattpad, a lot of the stories that came across like my page or whatever was like either like general stories that just included black characters or stories where the main character was Chris Brown, August Alsina,
that's what I was thinking of.
Dave East. I'm sorry, I can't take this serious. Dave East, or like those were like 3 big ones.
I remember August Alsina very clearly. Being in so many books.
Y'all was doing August Alsina bad. Y'all used to have him. I don't even know if I can say this. If not, we'll just take it out. Yeah. But y'all used to have August Alsina on crack in those books. Like, please.
Was he even on crack?
I don't think he was ever on crack. He was on crack on Wattpad. Like, this is not okay.
Why would you want to rehabilitate someone from crack?
And it's
personally,
like
in your
livelihood. They would have all of these people in the book, but they weren't necessarily playing themselves. But they would still use the name. Like, the name would still be August in the book. The name would still be Chris in the book. Like, please. Now I have No, I don't think my image of Chris Brown is warped from Wattpad. I think it's warped from the real Chris Brown. Chris Brown fans, please don't come for me. No, it probably is a little warped from Chris Brown because I definitely think Chris Brown is crazy. Like, I'm scared of him.
I got tired of just talking about it at some point. Like, I stand where I stand.
A Chris Brown Christmas is crazy. The assistant Chris Brown.
Oh, okay. And it was crazy because as these people were writing this, Carucci was trying to get a restraining order.
Literally.
He was punching people. He was beating people up.
Wait.
He was out here wilding. I guess y'all just didn't care.
The assistant, Chris Brown, 869,000 reads.
That sounds like a good one to open up.
Let's see. This is definitely a classic black sort of fan fiction cast. This is funny. So cast the characters in The Assistant, Chris Brown fan fiction. Okay, so we have Seven Streeter. Seven Streeter as Kyrie Taylor. Chris Brown as himself. Justine Skye as Jalen. B.O.B. as Brandon.
I don't know why someone would sit there and be like, yeah,
B.O.B. is a great character. Carucci. Oh no. Rihanna as herself, then Carucci as herself. August Alsina.
Rihanna.
There we go. August Alsina as himself. Nia Guzman,
where did I put that?
Joyce Hawkins, and Trey Songz. Ooh, That's when I forgot. Trey Songz, Wattpad had them all over there too. Okay. I looked up and sure enough, it was Chris Brown in the flesh. My heart pounded in my chest from excitement and nervousness. Hi. Not the ad. We have to talk about Wattpad in these ads. They're trying to get money off of this.
They are turning into a global powerhouse.
Yes. A Chris Brown fanfiction is going to send me every time. Personally, I don't think y'all should want to be with Chris Brown this bad.
Personally, I think she was 12. So this disturbs me completely.
Ooh.
But the thing is, Black Wattpad really gave a lot of Black girls comfort in like their Blackness in general, because a lot of us were either in bad household situations or in majority white schools, or we just didn't have a lot of friends, or we were nerdy, or we were outcasts, or just all types of different reasons. It was just, these books allowed us to create like these perfect worlds. We were these perfect people in our eyes. And of course, it definitely fueled parasocial relationships, but at the same time, it gave us an escape that allowed us to kind of continue on.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about Black Wattpad. Not this story, though. But, you know.
At a certain point, I outgrew, like, putting the celebrities in the story, and was just trying to read, like, because, like, at the end of the day, Wattpad, like, I would read, like, a lot of, like, romance stuff on there just because what else would I read?
Yeah.
Other stuff I could just go get, like, a paperback book. But I would just want to see, like, what were other people writing about this? Like, what are y'all putting in y'all story?
Yeah.
At that point, I was just reading, like, original stories with original characters. And if they had, like, a little cast in there, then it wasn't really people that I knew.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. And it was interesting to see what these random people on the internet can come up with. And most of the times it was pretty good. Like, there were stories that I went back and read like 2 or 3 times. Like, it was a real paperback book that I bought at Barnes & Noble.
I would definitely say it also allowed us to form our own ideas of like relationships and what we wanted out of relationships and the type of partners you wanted. Like, even reading these different stories, you were like, I don't really like this guy. Let me go find a different story.
Yeah.
And then from there, if you found a guy that you liked, you were like, okay, let me explore this little niche genre really quickly. Like nerdy guys, bad guys, gangsters, like drug dealers, like all these different crazy people that we made up in our heads.
In the real world, it could take you 20 years to even meet all of those different kinds of people. But even if you have this sliver of an idea of how these people might be, you were still given the chance to form an opinion on what you might like and what you didn't.
And even though it was based off one person's opinion, that's never really where it stopped, because it always created something more, whether that was a comment or a second book or a community. It was always like just different people's input. And that's also what I loved about Wattpad, is because it allowed for writers to literally get in real time feedback, and you can go back and you can edit your pages and your chapters that you had already published.
Right.
So you can continue to make the story better and better and better. I knew a lot of people who made really popular Wattpad books, once they blew up, they actually would take them down and put them under reconstruction, so they can go back and they can fix dialogue, fix art, go back and fix scenes that they may have messed up when they were 12, and now that they're like 16, they're like, okay, this isn't correct grammar, let me fix this up. It could be better. It's almost like they're living, breathing documents. Like, these characters become almost living people, because it's constantly being supported and built, not only by one person, but literally a community of people writing one book together.
Yeah, I really like the fact that a whole community could be made, like a whole fandom could be made for a book that was coming out of a fandom in the first place. So people are writing one-offs about this book that somebody put on Wattpad. They might there could be an author who had a really popular book, and now they're having a contest to see who could write the best one-shot, who can write the best scene, like random scene that they just came up with in their head. Who can write the best one? And if you can, then I might put it into the book, work your idea into my book, and now there's hype behind your book. Yeah. Because these people are trying to see, can they get included?
And not only authors, but also Wattpad itself did that. They used to do like a yearly ranking of like which was the most popular like mystery book, romance book, but it wasn't like normal typical genres either. They were like werewolf fan fiction, magic, based off mermaids, based off pirates, whatever. And it would allow you to be like, this won best jail fan fiction. Let me read it. What's it about? Like, what's going on? I just thought of the craziest thing I can think of.
How do you feel about on Wattpad when you try to find like the Black books? It's under urban.
Urban. You know, I started rewatching Blackish, and they really put emphasis on basically that the general world just spun the word Black into urban.
Yeah.
So now that I'm looking at it, I'm not really surprised because we literally have become urban when they just mean Black. And so I don't really care, like, for real.
I understand, but I don't understand. Like, urban, like...
They know what they're trying to say.
Yeah, like...
For me, I'm just like, that's just another part of ignorance that always happens.
I know when I'm looking at something and it's urban, I'm like, okay, so this is where I'm finding the Black.
Yeah, that's cool, because I literally searched up Black Your Name and I couldn't find anything. I should have searched up urban.
Urban. I think it did a lot for teen fiction. All the teen fiction books that were coming out, like... in bookstores, it might not necessarily have been something that you want to read.
Yeah, and it might have not always been very interesting, the communities either. Like, for example, not all Black teens would have gravitated to being fought over by a werewolf and a vampire. Not all Black teens would be gravitating towards like the idea of having like Greek god parents. Like that wasn't something we were really interested in.
I feel like there was not a lot of Black teen fiction getting like actually published
That's true.
being in bookstores. So I think Wattpad was generally a place to go to for things that included Black characters. Because I don't think it wasn't enough to just buy a book and try to insert your own characters.
And it's interesting because the book industry talks a lot about diversity in books and how they feel like white authors could just write more diverse characters instead of adding more diverse authors. Wattpad, Black writers and readers literally did the job for them. They saw a deficit in the Black need for fan fiction and for writing and authors, and we filled it ourselves and we created our own community. And it was interesting because Wattpad still kind of treated us as such. We were our own community.
I mean, out of the things that have gotten published and put in Barnes and Nobles, Barnes and Noble.
It's not Barnes and Nobles?
No, it's Barnes and Noble. You know, Black people just put an S on everything.
You know, the other day I said movie, like we're gonna go to the movie, and EJ was like, "You mean movies?" And I was like, "If we're going to go see a movie, why would I say let's go to the movies? Let's go see the movie." Like,
I think it's because when you go to the movie theater, there's multiple movies there.
But we weren't going to a movie theater. We were going to our friend's house to watch a movie. And so I was like, let's go to the movie. And he's like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no.
I said it twice.
I think the movies. I think the word movies only works
for the location.
Going to the theater.
Yeah, for me, I'm always like, let's go see the movie.
Yeah. So I think even when it comes to like getting published and having, or even getting a feature film, I haven't seen any Black authors from Wattpad get that opportunity
at all,
because the things I've gotten published are like After, Chasing Red,
50 Shades. 50 Shades Wattpad?
I don't think 50 Shades was on Wattpad. It might have been, but it was a fan fiction.
Was that other one the Netflix one?
The Kissing Booth.
A Kissing Booth was Wattpad.
And that one was about Wattpad.
Was that one about Harry Styles?
I'm not sure. Let's look it up.
Poor Harry Styles.
No, really. Harry Styles. Even though people are mad at you about the Grammys, I'm so sorry about the fan fiction.
Yeah.
Because I know that had to be. Yeah. Because there's no way they never saw it.
Yeah. No, they were definitely aware. They talked about it multiple times. How it made them like feel weird in general, especially when they broke up. But what is the name of the movie where the girl gets kidnapped and he's like, you have to marry, I'm gonna give you like a year, 365 days.
Oh,
that's what I was thinking.
That was fan fiction?
I think so. I feel like it was, but if it's not, it's based off a book.
Fan fiction, a film. The Kissing Booth brings misogyny from Wattpad to Netflix.
Jesus.
Oof. This is from July 2020.
I don't think I would say Kissing Booth was misogynistic. I would say it was definitely strange.
I've never seen it.
I forgot the second one. Her partner was named Nacho, and I couldn't get over that, so I couldn't finish the second one. There is a book.
Oh, The Kissing Booth was an original story. But the person who wrote this article, they're kind of tearing this movie to shreds. They said, the Kissing Booth series is a fluffy, unrealistic teen drama stuffed with tropes and predictable dialogue. It, to be frank, feels just like most of the fan fiction I stumbled across as a high schooler, which is not surprising because The Kissing Booth is essentially fan fiction. Well, no, it's not, because she said literally in the next paragraph, it's an original story.
I could have sworn I heard it was fan fiction, but life goes on.
After it's fan fiction. I first started seeing how they were coming out with movies and the books were getting published. I was very surprised, because the things on Wattpad is not really, I would never think that it would actually get taken seriously in the world of media.
That's crazy.
I don't know.
I feel like it could, because
I never would have thought that those people would have stumbled across it like that.
I don't think maybe they stumbled across it. I think once the book could become so popular, they could reach out to them, but they could also go to other people. Mm-hmm. You could genuinely go to like people who make books or make movies and be like, hi, I wrote this book. It gets this many viewers per month.
Okay.
And it's making this much money. Can I publish it? And they could be like, yeah, let's look at it. Like they could actually go to them as well. But I feel like especially for movies, they probably were tapped.
Yeah.
Or something. Or if they gave it to like a book publishing, they were like, okay, yeah, we're gonna give it to this movie company.
Things getting adapted from Wattpad is still in the early stages. But I think After is definitely the one that has reached the furthest so far.
Definitely.
Because I think it got published first, like into a real like tangible book, and then it got the movies, and they're on the third movie at this point. I don't know if they're doing another one. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it's only 3.
I was about to say, I'm not gonna lie, another one would be crazy.
I haven't seen any of them.
Me neither.
I'm glad.
I don't think I ever read After.
Me either.
I don't think I read After. I read maybe like a couple chapters of it.
Once I fell for the kissing booth propaganda, I was done with like romance movies from Netflix.
You know what's crazy,
I was done with romance trilogies.
I think I was so deep into Black Wattpad that I had never even heard of the kissing booth.
I left Wattpad and moved on to Netflix by then. So I was like fully into like all the boys I loved before. Like I was watching anything new that dropped.
Right.
Like I'm a big TV person. I love books, but I'm also a big TV person.
Yeah. So I wish To All the Boys I Loved Before was a Wattpad story.
I do too. I feel like it would have been really good as a Wattpad book too. Yeah. But I like the story in general. Yeah. Laura Jean will always have my heart.
I love those movies. They're so good. I feel like it was a rom-com resurgence, but we could talk about that in a different episode.
See what? I feel like you would have to spearhead that episode because you're the rom-com like expert, because I don't watch rom-coms. The closest I got to a rom-com is like Hallmark movie.
I hate Hallmark movies.
I think they're okay sometimes. Sometimes you get a good one. Sometimes you're laying with your mom and you're bored on a Saturday because she won't let you go out, and sometimes one of them hits.
Yeah.
Then you go take a nap. Especially as Wattpad is starting to grow and change. Wattpad has recently been bought out by Sony, and they're literally going to turn the platform into a multi-use library of literally creating TV shows, movies, books, like everything. Basically, Wattpad is going to become one of the next entertainment media giants.
Yeah.
So just in case it does, if everything does turn out to Sony's hope, we right here. We told y'all first.
Fact.
Just saying, we were one of the first ones to warn you. So just
my only hope,
start investing in stocks
and bonds. But my only hope with this business deal is that they do reach out to more of the Black
diverse authors. Yes, definitely.
Because I'm not gonna lie, the things they've put out already in the early stages, it's kind of giving me the same thing over and over again, kind of. But
it can become repetitive, especially if you choose from the same genres too often. There's so many genres. I hope they take the time to look at all of them.
Because there are things
that Slenderman.
I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, my only hope is that they reach out to more diverse authors, more diverse genres, because in every genre there is a handful of books that have millions on millions on millions of reads, and
they're good.
And they're good.
It's not only like you liking the genre, the literature is good. It's good writing, it's good character building, it's good story building. So it's not like we sat here and read these books simply because we were just longing to read books about werewolves and mating. No, we genuinely fell for the characters and the storylines.
Yeah,
it was genuinely a place where authors were born and created, and books and literature was truly being brought about every day.
And the people these authors have taken the time to comb through their work, edit it, make sure it's something that the platforms they've created and the communities they've created want to read.
And they listen to their viewers. If their viewers feel uncomfortable or unsure about something, they genuinely, if they feel like they need to or want to, will change it. It's literally a collaborative effort between an entire community in the hands of one author, and it's really, really cool.
Right.
So yeah, that's our episode about Wattpad. And just to end off on this note, stop underestimating teen girls. We really do shape the world that you guys live in almost every single day. So if you got a teen daughter, ask her what she thinks about media right now.
Yeah.
Ask her anything, and she'd probably tell you a lot more than you know. Because the thing is,
I think we pay attention the most to everything that's going on, whether it's on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram,
and
YouTube,
we're able to remember so much.
And we're able to remember, and we're able to. I think there's something about teen girls that they know what's good. If I had to come up with a team of people to keep their finger on the pulse, it would be teen girls.
I would go to a high school so quick.
I would go to a high school.
Like, they know everything.
They know.
Like, I have not friends, but like girls that I have grown up with and lived in the same community with who are obviously younger than me, and them being in high school and like their outfits be better than me.
Literally.
Like,
literally. And especially young girls coming up now, they have some, especially through through TikTok,
pride and courage.
Through TikTok specifically,
we love it.
They have so much access to so many different types of styles, so many different types of media, so many different things that they could take and turn into their own thing, that just don't underestimate them and what they can create.
As two former teen girls, we are really proud of just watching, especially young Black teen girls, like literally take over the media just by being themselves and being creatives, and that's what's really important.
Right.
But especially because teen girls have always been categorized as being silent and divisive and shutting people out, when really this whole time we have been speaking for the longest. You just have been looking in the wrong places.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about you guys have been looking for us talking about the wrong thing. It's not all about boys and drugs and clothes. Sometimes it really is about politics and apparently Chris Brown fan fiction. But you know,
hang it up, please.
We live in a beautiful world, and Wattpad is a beautiful platform that allows us to see so many edges of the world, especially through the eyes of teen girls, which will truly change the world one day.
Yeah, there's good and the bad, but at the end of the day, people grew from it, and people had good experiences on it and
bad experiences.
And bad. But I don't know. I think it was a good thing for its time, and whatever it turns into, I just hope it does the same thing it did when we were the ages of these people now.
Go forth and write amazing things, guys.
Yes. So that has been
the Streetlights
Podcast. I'm talking about Wattpad and fanfiction.
All right. Bye. And go read a book.
Okay, and that has been it for this week's episode of the Streetlights Podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at the Streetlights Podcast, and you can find me, Janelle, at Janelle Ismay on Instagram, JANELLEISMAY, and you can find my co-host,
that is JJ McDuffey, at JJMCDUFFEY.
And make sure you come out and play with us next Tuesday.
But you better come home before Streetlights come on. Bye, y'all.
Streetlights Podcast is a product of WANM-FM 90.5 in the School of Journalism and Graphic Communication at Florida A&M University.